What's up, everyone? Let's get started on this next video. Trigonometry Part 1. Let's do more like a G. Trigonometry Part 1. Trigonometry, like the Pythagorean theorem, only works with right triangles. And before we get started on all the definitions and whatnot and keywords, we first need to go over some keywords. So there's a right triangle. So right now, let's say we're going to use this bottom angle right here. Right? And we're going to call it theta. That's what they call it. It's just a symbol, it's a circle with a line through it. And it's called theta. And theta is just a name for an angle, right? So we're in the bottom angle right here. This side is opposite. That is opposite this angle here. Vice versa, if we have another triangle, and we are at the top angle up here, and that's theta, and if we're talking about this top angle, then this side is my opposite. Alright, it just depends where you're starting from and what angle they want. So if we're here at the bottom angle, the one right next to it is right here, right next to it. This is called adjacent. Adjacent. And of course, across the 90 is always the hypotenuse. So in this other triangle, since we're talking about the angle on top, the side right next to it is this one. This is the side next to it, so this would be my adjacent. Adjacent. Alright? So we have opposite sides, we have adjacent sides, and then across the 90 is always the hypotenuse. So let me try another example, because this is the most important part. If you can't do this, then you're not going to understand. And let's say we're talking about this angle here. This is my theta. If we're right here, the one way over here is my opposite. The one right next to it is your adjacent. And the one across the 90 is always the hypotenuse. It might be even easier just to always name the hypotenuse, to be honest. Alright? So, trigonometry. There are a lot of functions, but we're going to go over just the basic ones, which are sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine is abbreviated sin. We just don't write the E. Cosine is abbreviated COS, cos, for cosine. And tangent is abbreviated tan, just TAN. Now, an easy way to help you remember what sine, cosine, and tangent are is SOHCAHTOA. S is for sine. O is for opposite. H is for hypotenuse. C is for cos, cosine. A is for adjacent. H is for hypotenuse. T is for tangent. O is for opposite. and A is for adjacent. This is the order you have to work with. And it's very easy. Just remember SOHCAHTOA. That's how I say SOHCAHTOA is SOHCAHTOA. So SOH. Sine, sin, same thing. Opposite, and hypotenuse. What this means is that to find the sine of an angle, alright? And I can put here angle, the sine of an angle. It just looks weird, alright? So what they do, or you'll see, is that symbol. And this is an angle. Right? Is it angle A, angle B? I don't know, whatever the question is, right? So this is just a symbol for angle. So the sine of an angle is equal to the O first, so the opposite, divided by the next one, H, the hypotenuse. Same thing for the CAH, cosine, adjacent, and the hypotenuse. This means that the cosine of an angle can be found by figuring out the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And then TOA for tangent, opposite, and then adjacent. The tangent of an angle can be found by figuring out the opposite side length and dividing that by the adjacent. Hello. Alright? And we'll get into this a little bit more later. First we'll go over a simple question real quick. So, let's draw a triangle here. Example. In this question, I want you to find the sine of C. This is telling you to find angle C, and then from there you're able to figure out the opposite and hypotenuse and the adjacent, alright? So it's just telling you what angle to use already. So let's draw a triangle. A, B, C. We'll say this is 32, this is 24, that's a length, and this is 40. Alright, so the sine of C. Here is C, right here. So here's my angle right here. This is what you're going to look for first. Remember that across the 90 is always the hypotenuse. Right? That's always the hypotenuse. Across the 90 is always the hypotenuse. So I'm going to look here. Here is my angle. Here we go all the way over here. That is the opposite. The one right next to it is your adjacent. So I want to find sin C, the sine of angle C. Alright, the sine of C. How do you find sin again? How do you find the sine? So, TOA. Here's the one I want. SOH. So just like the previous thing we went over, this is going to be the letter C right now, and you need the opposite over the hypotenuse, O over H. So sin is O over H. Right? O means opposite. The opposite is 32. So 32 divided by the H, which is the hypotenuse. Here's my hypotenuse. This is 40. And then just figure out if you can reduce these numbers. And yeah, I can reduce them. If you don't know how to reduce, put it in the calculator, and the calculator will reduce for you. But you should know how to reduce. You can divide each of these numbers by 8. If you divide this by 8, 32 divided by 8 gives you 4. If you divide 40 by 8, it's going to give you 5. So the sine of C is 4 over 5. And you're done. And that's it. So from here on out, just so we understand, I'm going to write down opposite is OPP probably, and I'm going to write down adjacent as ADJ and hypotenuse as HYP because it's a pain in the butt to write it off. Let's go over another question. Let's find the cosine of angle A in this picture right here. A, B, C. Before I even start, I want angle A. Here is my angle A. Right? Remember, across the 90 is always the hypotenuse. That's the hypotenuse. The one far away from the A, way over here, this is the opposite. And the one right next to the A is the adjacent. So this would be my ABJ. So let me tell you the numbers. Let's say this is 24. Let's say this is 32. And this is 20. So then let's find the cosine of A. Remember that the cosine, the cos of theta is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So we fix it. The adjacent is right here. Adjacent is 24. Divide that by my hypotenuse. My hypotenuse is right here, 32. Do we need this number 20? No, we don't, but it's still there. Just leave it alone. And then you see if you can reduce. Can you reduce 24 and 32? Yes. 24 divided by 8, and 32 can be divided by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. 32 divided by 8 is 4. So the cosine of angle A is equal to 3/4. Let's do another one. Tangent of C. There's my 90. And as soon as you have the 90, across the 90 is always going to be the hypotenuse. So this is always HYP. That's a hypotenuse no matter what. We'll say that this is A, this is B, and this is C. So I want angle C, so this side right here. And I can put the numbers already, but I want you to understand where the opposite and adjacent are. Here's my C. Where's my opposite? Opposite is the one you have to go all the way far away. That is my opposite. This is my opposite side. The one right next to it is my adjacent side. Now I'll put my numbers. Let's say this is 9. Let's say this is 36. And we'll say this is 81. Find the tangent of C. The tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. So we'll fix it for what we need. The tangent of C is the opposite. Opposite is right here, which is 9. Divided by my adjacent. My adjacent is right here, which is 36. And then you see if you can reduce these numbers. Yes, you can divide them by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 36 divided by 9 is 4. Can you always reduce them? No. Tangent of C is equal to 1/4. And that's it. So the next part of your work, the next section of your work, of your worksheet or whatever, is pretty simple. Alright? It's straightforward, put it in the calculator and get the answer. The only problem is that trigonometry can be both radians and degrees. We use degrees in geometry because it's simpler, alright? Because this class is not supposed to be that difficult in trigonometry. You get more in-depth trigonometry, especially in pre-cal. So for us, we're just going to make sure it's in degrees. And degrees makes everything simple. The only problem is, make sure your calculator is in degrees. Let me show you. Alright, so here's the calculator. You go to settings, number 5. You go to the settings here. I think yours is called document settings, but whatever, right? So it's called document settings. Click number 2, and it takes you to this screen. Alright? This one right here. See, it says angle. You need the angle to say degrees. Right? If your calculator is not in degrees, all your answers that we're about to do are going to be wrong. You can do all the work correctly, but you're still going to get it wrong. Alright? So make sure the calculator is in degrees. Is it going to be in degrees when you get it? I don't know. Maybe someone's going to change it off a degree just to mess with the calculator. I don't know. Beats me. But you need to fix it to make sure it's on degrees. Okay, it's on degrees. And then the next work is going to be very simple. It's going to be, for example, you have about 6, 8, 10 questions, I don't know, of this. It's just cosine of 42 degrees. What's the answer? Cos 42 degrees. And it's real simple. You just come to the calculator. Let's go into a calculator page. You notice right here, there's a trig button right here. It's called trig because we're doing trigonometry. And you want cosine because that's what I asked for. Cos of how much? 42. Now, you can go ahead and you can come over here. I don't know if it's in here. No. That's where the pi symbol is. Alright, found it. So right here's the pi symbol. See the pi symbol? Now, I push it on mine. It's different than yours because I don't have the updated version. I need to update it. But when you push this pi symbol, you're going to get a symbol over here somewhere that has the little circles, a little degree symbol. If you push that little degree symbol, then it doesn't matter what setting or what mode your calculator is in. You're telling it to find the cos of 42 degrees. For me, I already put it in 42 degrees, so I'm going to leave it alone. Push enter. And that's your answer. And you're done. 0.7431. Oh, wrong one. That's the other video we did. .7431. That's it. Example. Find the sine of 37 degrees. Back to the calculator. Trig. You want the sine of 37. Either put the degree sign or dot, whatever. Enter. 0.6018. 0.6018. Yes, it's that simple. Example. Tangent of 63 degrees. Trig. Tangent. 63. Up. 63. Enter. 1.96. 1.96. And yeah, that's pretty much it from that section. The next part of your work is to find the angle. So for example, find the indicated missing angle. Measure. So let's say we have a triangle. And I say that this is 8 and this is 29. I want you to find this angle right here. How much is this angle? Question mark. That's what I want you to find. How much is that angle? So now we have to go back inside and use the angle. Alright? So here's my angle. The one way over here is my opposite. The one right next to it is my adjacent. And yeah, the one over here is the hypotenuse. Alright? But what do I have? Do I have a number on the hypotenuse? No. So I'm not going to use a hypotenuse. Do I have a number on the opposite? Yes. Do I have a number on the adjacent? Yes. So you go back to that SOHCAHTOA. Which one has an O for opposite and an A for adjacent? This has an O but an H. I'm not using the H, so this is wrong. This has an A. Look, I have an A, alright. But this has an H for cos. I don't need the H. I need the O and the A only. So for this question, I have to use tan. Right, the tan. That's how you figure out which one you use. I'm going to use tangent because I only have the O and the A in this question. So to find the tangent of my angle is O, which is opposite, over my adjacent. Alright? So it's tan is equal to O, what's my O? O is 8 over my adjacent, which is 29. And remember, if I had an angle here, I would be done. But since I'm looking for the angle, I have to use the inverse tangent. So you put it on -1. Alright? You only use the -1 when you're looking for an angle. Only use the -1 when looking for an angle measure. Alright? So, just put in tan -1, and you can do it on the calculator. Trig. There's my tan -1. I forgot the numbers. 8 over 29. 8 divided by 29. Enter. 15.42 degrees, because my calculator is in degrees. I put it in that mode. So this angle here, this angle is 15.42 degrees. That's the answer. Let's do another one. So again, the same exact directions before. Find the missing indicated angle measure. Let's say the angle is right here. This is my question mark. And we have this number to be 50. And this number is 43. And that's it. Find that angle. Alright? First, here's my angle. This one happens to be way far away. This is my opposite. This one's across the 90. Across the 90 means hypotenuse. Yes, the one right next to it is the adjacent. You are correct. But do I have a number on the adjacent? No, which means we're not going to use the adjacent. I'm only going to use the O for opposite and H. So, TOA. Which one only has O and H? This one has O and H. Not this one and not that one. So it's going to be the sin. So we're going to use the sin of an angle, which is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Alright? And since we're looking for an angle, that's going to change to a -1. So it's sin -1 is equal to, O has to go first. O is my opposite, which is 43, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 50. So sin -1, 43 over 50. Trig, sin -1, 43 over 50. 43 divided by 50. The angle is 59.31. This angle is 59.31 degrees. Let's do one more. Let's say this is 36. Let's say this is 14. And we want to find this angle right here. Question mark. This angle right here. It's right next to it. The 14 is right next to my angle. When it's right next to it, it is the adjacent. Across the 90 is my hypotenuse. And then the one far, far away is the opposite. Do I have a number on the opposite? No. So I'm not going to use the opposite. So for Torah, I only need to use the A and the H. Which one has A and H? The cos does, the cosine. The cosine of an angle is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And since we're looking for an angle, change that to a -1. Cosine of -1 is equal to the adjacent. A first, adjacent, which is 14, over my hypotenuse, H, which is 36. So 14 over 36. Cos -1. Hello. Trig. Cos -1. 14 and 36. $67.11. 67.11 degrees. Then the last few questions are, for example, it's going to be where we find the, what do you call it? We're going to find the angle except without a picture. So for example, the sine of angle B is 0.4226. And you're like, what? You're looking for the missing angle. What is angle B is equal to a question mark? We don't know. So when you're looking for the angle, remember, every time you're looking for an angle, you're going to use the -1. So we need the sine of -1, and you type in this number. Put that number right there. So 0.4226. Sine -1. And instead of it being a fraction this time, the fraction, see how this is a fraction? Remember, fractions are decimals. So instead of having a fraction, we only have a decimal, which is no problem. 0.4226. Enter. 24.99. 24.99. I'm just going to round that to 25 degrees, alright? So this is about 25 degrees. Of course, if we got something like 24.2, so leave it 24.2, but mine I'm able to round it, alright? Do another one. Let's do figure one on the calculator real quick. What is the cosine of angle X if that is going to give us 0.6101? 6101. I don't know. Let's figure it out. What angle X degrees is equal to Trig. Cosine negative 1, 0.6101. 6101. 52.4. 0. There you go. 52.40. X is 52.04 degrees. And you're done. Just very simple like that. The calculator does all the work. Assuming your calculator is in the right mode, of course. The tangent of angle A, or A, whatever, is equal to 2.503. 2. Oh, messed up. Hello. Read the decimals right. 2.050. 2.050. So we're trying to find the angle. So it'll be tan negative 1, 2.050, and that'll give us our degree. It'll give us how many degrees angle A is. Nope. See, I did the wrong one. You can't do tangent. Since I'm looking for an angle, it has to be the inverse of tangent. 2. What was it? 050. 050. 63.99. 63.99 rounds up to 64 degrees. Alright, and that's pretty much it. It's not very difficult at all. If you've never seen it before, then it just looks weird. And it's just the calculator. The calculator is your best friend. It helps a lot. Can you use the calculator on your phone? Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it because I'm not even sure how to put it in the phone calculator, to be honest. Alright? Laters.